This is Nick Nelson, Mad Scientist of Muscle, and what we've got for you today here is a monster assistance exercise for your deadlift. Now, this one is extremely important if you find that you fail in the deadlift, not getting the bar off the floor, but right when the bar is kind of right below the knees. Now, rack pulls can sort of work this, but I find this works better. So what you're going to do here, and I'll show you a close-up of this setup, is a thick black band, a heavy kettlebell. This is a 90-pound kettlebell, and then just a regular straight bar. So I've got a bar set up in the rack, just the one end loop through. This is set to right about belly button height. You can play with the height in terms of that. But what I've done here is before I put weight on the bar here, I slip the other end of the band in over top of this bar. So this is in the center, this is lined up. Now, I've also got the kettlebell handle looped through here. So when I lift this bar up, this kettlebell is going to get lifted off the ground. Now, what you're going to find here is, because this is about this height, you're actually going to do a deadlift, kind of like a speed deadlift off the bottom, where you're actually going to be able to get the bar right to about here. That's when this kettlebell starts to pick up off the ground. And that is basically where it turns this weight into a grinding deadlift, but with directional resistance in addition to additional resistance. So what I mean by that is, as you're lifting the bar, weight pulls that band down, the band is at an angle. So you're also getting directional resistance on the glutes as you come up to the top, the glutes and the lower back, for that hip extension as you come to the top. Again, you're pulling fast to here, and then in a normal deadlift, if that's where your sticking point is, if that's where you fail, is right here, this works exactly that point. Suddenly you've got an additional 90 pounds or whatever pounds of resistance on the bar, and you have to basically grind through that to get that up. So obviously you want to use a weight that will allow you to get through that grind, because that's what's going to work that grind. But it's going to basically train your body to continue in that position, even if you find your body being pulled forward, even if you really have to fight through to get that rep, and that's what this accomplishes. So here's what it looks like, and I'll come to you afterwards and show you the setup in a closer up view. So here's what it looks like. So you can see I've got this band just looped over top of that bar. I've got the band threaded through the kettlebell handle, and I've got the other end of the band just looped on the other end of the bar here. If you don't have a kettlebell like this heavy, you could potentially use a weight plate, thread it right through the center of that, and I haven't tested it, but you'd probably get a similar effect. So I'm going to kind of disassemble this so you can see exactly how it was assembled. So what I like to do, roll that over here, get that in nice and close so that everything's loose, and pick that bar up, slide it over, and just tilt it down. That comes off real easy. And put it back on. Unthread that through the kettlebell, and this is just loosely on the band. You can also hitch it onto here if you wanted to for a little bit more security, securitude, whatever you want to call it, but not necessary, because this will stay pretty good on there even without that, as long as you do maintain some tension there. So that is the, I guess, kettlebell hanging deadlift. And again, this massively trains that sticking point just below the knees when you've got the bar up off the ground, but you need to grind through that midpoint just where the leverage really sucks, essentially. So if you got the equipment, this is something I'd really recommend you give it a try. You can do this with a trap bar as well. I have done it with the trap bar, and it actually works better with the straight bar. When you're using a trap bar, this actually kind of tilts the trap bar too much forward and kind of compromises your grip a little bit. So it's doable, but it's actually better with the straight bar. It's going to hit your glutes more because you're starting from a deeper point as well. So again, this is a midpoint killer.